I built a complete sales funnel for my digital product using AI and my intuition. No $10,000 strategy, no big marketing team, just me, ChatGPT, and my mystical guidance system. And much to my surprise, it actually worked. I literally created my first freebie in an afternoon, put it out there for the world to see, and people started to click to download it, get enrolled in my email sequence, and then it led to actual sales, like people paying me money for my stuff. This was such a huge breakthrough for me because I could finally turn my mystical gifts and my practical experience into a product that not only helped people, but brought some chi back to me, which is amazing. So many lightworkers I know struggle with making their first dollar online. So I'm gonna show you exactly what I did to go from idea to freebie to making my first digital sale. I created this funnel with zero burnout, used my high frequency tools and mystical skills to put something out in the world that not only I feel good about, but that people actually wanted. This is the game changer for spiritual entrepreneurs because oftentimes we're thinking only with our mystical hat on or only with our business hat on, but let's combine the two to really make our magic and our products work. So if you've been stuck trying to sell your online course or launch your very first product as a spiritual business, this is going to change everything for you. So many lightworkers and spiritual entrepreneurs are stuck in this cycle where you have amazing gifts, you know you want to help people, but your offer isn't selling. Or what's worse, maybe you haven't even built it or launched it yet. Why is this? Oftentimes, at least for me, it was because I was totally overwhelmed and I literally didn't know what to do. I'm a trained academic. I am a scientist at first and then entered in the corporate world. I knew literally nothing about starting a business, let alone a mystical or spiritual business when I first started out. When I was first starting out, I tried to do literally everything manually. I had no strategy and I didn't even know what basic business practices were, like these terms, freebies, lead magnet, build a funnel. Had no idea what any of that meant. Over time, I started to learn and get insights on this jargon that the business world loves to talk about and realized it's just very simple, basic step-by-step things that are easy to follow if you can decipher the meaning behind them. And that's where AI and my intuition came in. I started to use my inner guidance as well as smart tech to come together and help my superpowers actually express and get out there into the world. What this led to is I stopped wasting energy. I could actually figure out what business lingo meant and put together a simple strategy that actually worked and brought in money while I slept. So I'm gonna show you exactly what I did so that you can map to it and finally create something that is both resonant, high frequency, and matches your business goals. So here's exactly what I did. Step 1, I got clear on my offer. So this terminology offer is just a fancy business term to describe that you want to offer the world something. In other words, you want to sell a product. When I finally understood what this word offer meant in a business context, it actually resonated a lot more than selling a product because it feels like I'm here to offer something to the world and to bring my light into the planet through a product or service that other people will resonate with. So first, understanding what an offer means is a really good first step. But then second, you need to think about what do you want to offer the world? So what I did is I used ChatGPT to help zero in on my zone of genius or my superpowers to literally think about what could I package and offer and sell to the world? So what I did is I gave a very brief biography of who I am, my expertise, what I've been up to the last 10 years of my life, and asked it questions and gave it prompts to tell me, hey, how can I turn these experiences into a product or service that will sell or that people might want to buy? AI, like ChatGPT, has just gotten better and better, and I think it's only going to get better and better as the years progress. So start thinking of it as an ally or a tool to help you brainstorm some of these early sticky ideas and problems that you might be facing as an early entrepreneur. Oftentimes, I see lightworkers can really benefit by just going through a creative brainstorming exercise and talking about, hey chat, what are my superpowers? Or how could I turn XYZ experience into a business? You will be amazed at some of the results that come through, and they're probably pretty good. I remember trying to come up with offers before AI and now doing it after AI. It is a whole different game. There are tons of ways you can do this, but at the end of the day, you're gonna need to get really clear on who do you wanna sell to, what does your offer do to help them, and then we get to the next step. Build your funnel in reverse. Okay, back to business lingo. So a funnel is basically just another business term to explain the buying process for a customer and the selling process for you as a business owner. So before I even started thinking about how to sell a product, I thought about what do I want to give to the world? So I have lots of years of experience in creating online courses and also working in spiritual companies and sharing mystical practices. So I knew months even before I started to sell a product that I wanted to create an ebook to help people build their very first online course to help their spiritual businesses grow. I spent months and months trying to perfect this PDF, and I wouldn't necessarily do it the same way that I did to begin with, but the point is you just gotta start somewhere and have some kind of offer that you know you're gonna want to sell at the end of the day. So I knew that my offer ultimately was to sell this ebook. I really like ebooks because they can be a really cheap product that gives a lot of value. Building it is actually really fun. There's lots of pretty graphics, and I love that creative side of the process. And you can sell it while you sleep. In other words, it's very automatable and it's not limited. You could sell 1,000 or 10,000 copies and be able to deliver it instantly. It's one of the most beneficial things about having an online business. Even if you're in retail or services, there are ways you can create digital products that lend itself very well to your in-world or real life experiences. Okay, so at the end of the funnel, in other words, what did I want people to buy? I knew it was going to be my ebook about how to create an online course. So now that I had that figured out, I had to work backwards and think about how do I get people interested? So often at the top of the funnel, or that first entry point that a potential customer might have with you, is what we call a lead magnet or a freebie. So let's say you have a 0 social media following and literally have no one to talk to about your product. That's where I first started when I got started in my business. Now, that's not entirely true because you do know humans out in the real world, but we want to get our ideas and services to the right people. Because let's be honest, not a lot of people I know and from my personal life are going to be interested in how to create an online course or even care about mystical stuff to begin with. So I knew that I wanted to get my product to the right person because I don't want to waste other people's time and I want to serve and help support lightworkers specifically. So how do we grab attention of our potential customers who literally have no idea who we are? That's where the lead magnet or the freebie comes in. So again, I wanted to provide some kind of value to a person whom I've literally never met and form a relationship so that ultimately, they might be interested in the offer that I have to sell at the end of the day. But just like meeting a stranger on the street, there's like social etiquette that we have to think about. And it generally takes time to get to know someone and to have them know you and establish trust and feel like you're a legitimate person they want to hang out with. And by hanging out with, I mean spend time either consuming your content online or looking at your products and services and, doing business. If you think about it, a lot of people out in the world have so much demand for their attention. We are ultimately, as business owners, trying to convince them to take their very precious time, attention, and money and put it towards yourself so that you can ultimately sell a product to them. Now, I know that can be triggering for a lot of light workers, like, ew, I don't want to make money, or, ew, that sounds so sleazy. But at the end of the day, if you want to make money, which business is all about, you can do it in an ethical and high frequency way. And this is where, again, your offer and your lead magnet come in. So what I did is I used my intuition to scan and feel into what I would feel good about putting out into the world that I think would give people a lot of value. And I also looked at my particular expertise or zone of experience where I could actually give value. I've had years of experience creating online courses for billion-dollar companies. I mean, I'm sure there's something useful in there somewhere when it comes to experience. And just like you probably have a lot of life experiences that are helpful and beneficial to other people. You just need to deliver it to them in a way that they can access and benefit from. And this is where the lead magnet comes in. So again, here's another terminology that you'll hear in the business world. A lead magnet is to magnetize leads or people who might become potential customers in your funnel to ultimately buy your product. And the way we magnetize them towards our offer is to start with a freebie. Now, a freebie is literally a digital product. Oftentimes it's a checklist or a PDF or an MP3, some kind of high value, easy to deliver service that you can get instantly as a buyer. Oftentimes what you get in return is their email address. Now, this is really good for a business just starting out because ultimately email is going to be a really important goal and strategy for selling your products. So I knew from the beginning that I had to grow my email list and my audience if I ever wanted to hope to sell my offer. So I thought about, okay, let's come up with a freebie. How do I do that? So this is where AI came in. So I asked ChatGPT, I have these experiences. This is what I ultimately want to offer. How can I get it in front of people? And it gave me some really good ideas on how to create an early lead magnet that could ultimately funnel into my ebook that I wanted to sell. And instantly I started to feel my intuition or my mystical spidey senses fire. In other words, I got really excited by certain ideas and I just ran with it. So those physical experiences or feelings that we get, like excitement or satisfaction, intrigue, curiosity, those are all body signals or signs that you're on to something good here. Our physical body is our most powerful mystical tool. So first and foremost, if you feel yourself getting excited by something, you should run with that. And I was really pleasantly surprised to feel inspired and curious and excited to create this lead magnet. And it's because I found a topic, thanks to ChatGPT for offering me the idea to build something that I could really get behind. And this initial freebie was teaching others how to use AI to create a course. So it's a big part of my day job. I spend a lot of time doing it and I've learned quite a bit and have picked up a lot working in the industry. I also noticed that a lot of light workers out in the world don't really have a good or comfortable relationship with technology. Some are better than others, but especially with all this AI hype, I see a lot of spiritual workers who are like, yeah, I'm just gonna not go there. And honestly, this is a big disadvantage because every single industry on the planet is being revolutionized with AI. And I think the biggest thing is that light workers just don't know how to use it. They might not be exposed to AI and what it can do like I am in my day-to-day life, reading stuff on the internet or working my corporate job. So I saw an opportunity where I could help share some of that insight to someone who might be curious, but they don't know where to start, or they need help, going through the process because it's literally just so foreign to them. So this got me really excited and I realized that, okay, I want to create some kind of lead magnet to help light workers learn how to use AI for the very first time. And in the context of applying it to my larger offer, which is all about course creation. And so that's what I did. I spent literally an afternoon going through ChatGPT, putting together the output into Notion and grabbing some graphics from Canva. And I literally had a really awesome, compelling lead magnet within the span of an afternoon. And the reason why I'm emphasizing time like speed is because oftentimes lightworkers, we get really stuck when it comes to wanting to put our work out into the world. I know for me, I procrastinated launching my first products for years, if not months, because of silly negative programs. So I really want to show that once you have got that intuitive hit, run with it. It will help you bust through those firewalls and blocks like no end. And that leads me to step 3. I literally used my mystical skills to scan and test everything for resonance and high frequency. So as I was going through this content creation process, I would ask myself and do the truthing exercise of, does this align with my values? is this high frequency? Do I feel like I'm supporting people or bringing more light into the planet by doing this? And I felt and I got the yes. I could feel and scan and sense that this could be a really big value for people and, unlock potential for them. Because AI is just a tool. And like any other tool, whether it's mystical, computer, or a freaking hammer, we need to learn how to use it in order to, get the job done, if the job calls for the correct tool. So throughout this entire process, I was using my intuition and scanning for that high frequency resonance. And I got that niggle, that assumption, or that feeling of this could actually really help people. So a lot of times we just have to trust that gut feeling that we have. I mean, you work with people, you're obviously a light worker on some level, and you know what people are struggling with. Maybe you have a very niche area of expertise, or you just see something happening out in the world that just doesn't quite resonate and you see an opportunity to fix it or make it better. That's ultimately what building a business is all about, trying to make things easier and better for people through a product that we're selling. There's really no difference between that and what you want to do as your light worker. So use your intuitive guidance and scan and see and sense, what is it that people are missing? How can I bring value? And then check it for resonance and high frequency and go for it. So here comes step 4. You actually create the thing. In other words, you create the lead magnet or the freebie in some kind of digital tool. So in this case, what I did is I first gathered some ideas using ChatGPT. AI is amazing at giving you ideas, so you don't have to work alone in this regard. And I took my favorite and best ideas and put them into Notion, and I added graphics from Canva. Now, this is where building on your personal experience is a really good idea. As an expert in whatever you're an expert in, you will know when something's on or something's off at a resonance or frequency level. So I knew that just as a subject matter expert, a lot of the stuff that AI was outputting around how to create a course wasn't quite accurate. And more specifically, I also knew that elements around creating a spiritual course or a mystical or light worker type of product also needs some added considerations when, let's say, creating a structured process for someone to follow. So even though AI did a really good job as a first draft, I literally had to scan, edit, and modify all of the text and all of the output until I knew it was fully accurate and resonated. So I literally mean accurate as in, is this factual and true as a subject matter expert? But then also I scanned it for frequency as a mystic. For example, there are certain words that are used that I often don't like that come from AI, like service or serve or container. There's a lot of AI speak that they just, comes out. It doesn't fully align or resonate with the message that I'm trying to put out. So again, use your intuition, scan it mystically, look at the energies behind the words and double make sure, is it accurate and does it resonate with you and your goals? So now that I have a fully created lead magnet, I had to get to the next phase of the business funnel of connecting from freebie to buying my product. And that is what we call an email sequence. Really common tactic for digital marketers is to give someone your freebie, you get their email address, and then you nurture them or warm them up, warm leads into potentially buying your product. Emails are a great way to do this because they're very customizable. You can automate them so it works in your sleep. And honestly, because a lot of people use email these days. I know in some ways it seems antiquated, like really? People still read emails? Turns out, yes. And don't get me wrong, there are other ways to sell a product, but in this regard, I'm talking about email marketing because it is still one of the most powerful ways that you can sell to your audience. So after I got my lead magnet, I had to connect the two. How am I gonna sell people my product if they just got something for free? So then what I did is, again, I used AI and my intuition to create an email sequence. Now, the place where I have created my business funnels is on a website called StanStore. I think they are one of the easiest and fastest tools to put up a digital product and start selling without all the messy complexity that comes with building a website. In fact, most of the money that I have made this year has been coming from StanStore. What I really like about StanStore is that it allows you to sell something, email people about it, and collect the fees or their money to sell the product and deliver the product all in one go. In a lot of other systems, you literally have to have a different piece of software for every single step of that process. But StanStore makes it super easy, especially for spiritual entrepreneurs just starting out. So after I created my freebie, I went into StanStore and I started to fill out the automation sequences to get to my next product. So what you do is you build first a landing page, and again, used AI to help me with that. And then you can set up email automations to nurture and tell your audience about what's next. Obviously, the freebie resonated with them enough where they wanted to connect and get to know you and your product more. So we want to keep that relationship going. We want to nurture it. Email sequences are a great way to nurture that experience. I used AI to help me come up with an email sequence that maybe seemed reasonable. Remember, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I put those email drafts into the automation sequence provided by StanStore with a little bit of testing, polishing, and making sure, again, it resonated at a mystical or intuitive level. I then published it. Now, this is a step that I had forgotten about until months later, but another important part of your freebie is that you want to plant the seed or talk about or mention ultimately another product that the customer could buy from you if they're interested. Our goal ultimately is to make our first lead magnet so good that they can't wait for the next product or service that you offer. And ultimately, you know you're hitting the mark because people actually buy stuff from you. And this is what really blew me away when creating this first lead magnet. I could tell that the lead magnet was resonating with people because a lot of folks were signing up to get it, which is a great sign. It means you're onto something. And that's a nice validation for your intuition that you felt like there was something here that you could help solve or help people with. As people go through that funnel, not everyone is going to immediately buy your product. In fact, it can take time to establish a relationship of trust with your audience, especially if you're just starting out for the first time and people literally have no idea who you are. Again, we are trying to vie for people's attention and money, and it can be tough to convince someone, taking their hard-earned money to buy something from you. But it doesn't always have to be tough. And this is where the automation comes in, right? After the lead magnet, they go through this email sequence and I tell people how I can support them in their course creation journey or their spiritual business journey. And that nurtures them and gets them excited potentially to show up for the next product or service that I have to offer. And in this case, with the lead magnet here, that ultimately pointed to a $47 PDF. And much to my surprise, people actually bought the PDF. And I still say that because, again, I'm not like a trained business person. This isn't how my brain naturally thinks or works. And if I can figure it out, then let me tell you, you can too. So the key here is to help yourself by using AI to get you past those firewalls or moments of overwhelm, or even those moments of I'm feeling stuck and I don't know what to do next. And you can literally ask questions to the AI and it will give you responses so much faster than what you used to have to do, let's say with a simple Google search. And it can customize output to your unique profile and experience. If you haven't tried it, I highly recommend you do. It's just something at the end of the day has to be experienced. And again, this is where the second piece comes in, your intuition. So intuitively, I knew that if I wanted to make my product visible, I had to literally get people to see it. But since we're working with strangers on the internet, I knew that I had to find a way that could make that process easier. Once I knew what product I wanted to build, the ebook, and I had an understanding of how to entice people to go in that direction, the lead magnet, intuitively I scanned and tested for resonance and frequency along the way so that I made sure my messaging, product itself, and even just the energy behind it felt really good at a mystical or energetic level. So again, one of your strengths as a lightworker or a spiritual entrepreneur are your mystical superpowers. It's that energetic, intuitive, psychic, magical capacity, however you want to call it, and utilizing that in your business. Now, it will probably depend what type of mystic you are and how you use your intuition or your spiritual powers, but regardless, as long as you do it and are doing so from a place of integrity and high frequency, this can be a huge asset for you and your business and your content creation process, especially when it comes to using AI, because there are definitely going to be agendas and, weird things that come out because it's literally just a word calculator. You are the human. You are the mystic. You are the one responsible for scanning the energies and making sure that everything is crystal clear and pristine. Because at the end of the day, you are here to bring light into the world, right? You're here to support people as well as yourself in living a beautiful, high frequency life. And this leads to the final step of publish, let go, and trust the flow. At some point, you just have to let it fly. Once I put together the freebie, the email sequence, and the PDF ebook, I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And this is where trusting either your higher self or your high frequency guides or the human collective in allowing what needs to happen. Now, what really surprised me is that it can actually work. I can't emphasize enough that feeling of when you first not only sell something and people sign up for free, but when you make your first dollar on the internet, it's such an empowering feeling because it's like, oh, I can do this. Yes. And it's resonating with other people because again, they're spending their hard-earned time, money, and attention and giving that to you. So if you've been wondering how to use AI to actually build your business, then check out my free guide, AI Course Creation. It not only gives you everything you need to start building your first online course, but it is literally the exact freebie and product funnel that I've been talking about in this video. If you want more high frequency business strategy, mystic content creation tools, and behind the scenes videos of my journey building Mystic Twist, then be sure to hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.